Hi, welcome to Dean Park. Summer's well and truly arrived here at Dean Park with temperatures last weekend peaking at 31 degrees. That's probably the Scottish summer past, so hopefully I can look forward to some slightly cooler temperatures to allow myself to get up here and do some odd jobs on the layout. In this update I'll be looking at a few areas. I'll be looking at the lighting of the large local shed on the depot. I'll be showing you an issue I've had with one of my Class 47s. I'll be showing you behind the scenes here at the storage yard. I got a lot of requests to get more footage from the storage yard area, so I'll go through that. And I'll also be showing you the newly installed and operating DCC Concepts control panel for the station side of the layout. So lots to look forward to. If you have any questions, get in touch. If you've not already done so, please hit that subscribe button. And also you can join the Dean Park Station closed Facebook group and follow me on Instagram. As I said, any question, get in touch. Hope you enjoy the video. If you saw my previous update, you'll have seen me showcasing some of the figures from Model U. During the month of May, I've continued to add some more of these to the layout. They really are impressive items. As you can see here, I've got a chap leaning over the inspection step platform there. I've got a photographer at the right hand side, and I've added some more guys in their high-vis vests. They really are very detailed, and I'm really enjoying the challenge of painting them up to make them look realistic. They really do add something to the scene. There is something for everyone as well, through all ages of the railway and all eras, from town and country to line side. So if you want to check out the figures at Model U, the website is in the description below. Whilst we're on the topic of small details, I'll highlight the Oxford Mark IIIs that I've just finished fitting the Hunt coupling system, which is a magnetic system. I've done all my Hornby Mark IIIs, my Hornby Mark IIEs, and that's me just obviously finished the Oxford coaches. They really are a superb close coupling system. I'm obviously using magnets. I'm pushing them apart there with quite a bit of force. So if you want to uncouple them, you just both hands and they come apart. And they really have brought the close coupling of this coach bang up to date. If you want to find out more, check out the video that I did on these, and the link will be at the end of this video and at the top of the screen. And you can also go and visit the West Hill Wagon Works, and the link is in the description below. What are you looking at, Angus? To be honest, Dave, I've not a ruddy clue. Welcome to Mission Control at Dean Park. In the middle we've got the highly competent and powerful ESU ECOS command station. On the left hand side we've got the newly installed DCC Concepts control panel. This panel can control every turnout, every signal and every light on 3 sides of the layout. The existing panel to the right controls the storage yard with all the turnouts fully controllable. Let's have a closer look at the new installation. The board at the right was assembled and installed through necessity to control the storage yard from this central position without me having to go under the baseboards to control points. And that was installed almost exactly 2 years ago, and that is linked to the ECOS. Okay, I've got a few wires to tidy up, but in essence now both boards are connected. The one at the left was just through the need to make it uniformed, the actual design of the whole command station. Okay, so I really am pleased with the installation of the left hand board. I say it's been a while because I couldn't get my hands on DCC Concept solenoid accessory decoders, which I need to link to all my turnouts. But as I said, the total build for this project is another video, so you might want to check that out. My challenge for the month away was to get this installed and operational, and I'm really glad I managed to do that. Let's look firstly at the black panel. This has been totally designed by me and then laser cut. The grey lines and all the text have been etched into the surface of the 3mm black acrylic by the laser cutter, and they've also been edged as well to give it a nice sharp finish. So I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. The display at the top here, when I flick a turnout, the number of that will be displayed on the indicator. So let's say number 7. Wait away, number 7. There we go, fire 07. Fire it back. You'll also see the LED change at number 7, which is here. There we go. Okay, so it's fully controllable, and it's also linked to the storage yard control panels. It's all integrated into one and controlled through the ECOS. I can also access the touch screen here on the ECOS for the actual point. So I've got all the points controlled through the ECOS in primary case, and obviously it's linked via this cable to the control panel. So let's say number 7 again. I flick number 7 and it will change on here. So we've got fully linked systems here, so I can use the touch screen there, or I can use the toggle switches there. It's really up to me. Obviously when I'm driving trains, it's a lot easier just to keep the trains actually on the screen and control the points through the toggles. That's why I did it. We'll take a wee bit closer look in, and I'll show you some other features on this board. On this board I've obviously got a few more features than just point control. Let's look down here at the bottom. The green and the red are for the level crossing. I can override the automated system there by putting it on or off as I choose. Alright, I've got lights 1, 2 and 3 here, and accessory. Lights 1 do the station, lights 2 do the other two sides of the layout, lights 3 is at the moment redundant, as is the accessory toggle there as well. These are just future proofing. If I want to do some expansion and separate lighting features and accessories, I can put them in there without redesigning the whole board. Okay. At the bottom here we've got R numbers. We've got R1 to 15, and these set the signals to red, and you might be able to see R10 is up here. That's the position of the signal on the line, and if I want to set it to red, I just flick the switch down and that signal will go to red regardless of the aspect that it was before. A cool feature of that is if I set that signal to red, R10, the previous one in the sequence goes to yellow. So it doesn't just stay at green, so it's quite cool. They're all linked through the Heathcote electronic boards, and one of the features is that you can set the signals to red. So I've never really utilised it before in a big way, but I've made sure with this board I can control signals on 3 sides of the layout by setting them to red. Okay, it's a nice feature. You can play with it and become a signalman. Okay, so R10 is currently at red, R11 the same, etc. Now there's no indication visually on the board that that is the case. I could have fitted LEDs, but I felt that the board would be too cluttered with lights and really confuse the actual point control, which is the main purpose of the board. So I didn't bother going down that route. Obviously if the switch is in a lower position, that means it's red. Alright, and they're all programmed and set up to be like that. Panning down, you'll see an RG here. This is red or green, and this is platform 7. Okay, and it's a 2-aspect signal, and I can override it to be red or green. Okay, controlling it manually, and override the automatic system here on the 3-way point. I'm just going to focus in on this 3-way point here, which is point motors 13 and 14. Okay, there is obviously 2 point motors under a Pico 3-way point. At the moment it's set to go the top route, which is platform 6, which is the HST platform, the longest at Dean Park, which is fine, and thankfully the other 2 are set at red. Now the DCC Concept stuff is amazing, but it doesn't cater out of the box for a 3-way point. So you've got to add a latching relay module, and this was supplied by a good friend of mine, Mike Wellsby, who helped me through the installation. It was a big help, and his electronic knowledge is certainly way above mine. And the unit itself is from Modelling Electronics, and I'll put the website in the description below. But you might want to now check out my forthcoming video on the installation of the actual whole unit, and that'll explain it in more detail, okay? At the moment, as I say, it's set to the top route. If I want to set it to the middle route, it's case of number 13. And there we go, it's set to the middle route. The bottom stayed red and the top has gone to red. So it can only go one route, which is a relief for everybody on board the train. If we want to go to the bottom route, this is where the latch comes in, and I'll do number 14, and there we go. It sets it to the bottom. And that wouldn't have been possible without this relay, okay? And if I want to go back to the centre route, it's 14, and then the top route, it's 13. It really is simple once it's installed, but trust me, had me scratched my head for a wee while, but thanks to Mike I managed to get it installed without any major upsets. So that's the three-way point taken care of, and I really am glad that I managed to get that working. You can probably see the sharpness of the lines from this zoomed in angle, even down to the outline around the numbers and letters. The laser cut really does do a good job. Okay, I've detailed the inside of the two-lane engine shed. I'll zoom in a little bit closer to show you some of the individual details that I've added. Starting at the back left, we've got a dustbin there. That's a white metal kit from Nightwing. We've got a workman there, the Bachmann Scenecraft, in front of the scale model scenery shelving, which I've populated with jumper cables, general cables, pipe work, and a scale model scenery not to be moved sign there down at the bottom. They've all been placed in the shelves and weathered. I've even got some cardboard boxes as well, and they're from the scale model scenery range. We've got a tool chest there. They are from a scale model scenery range 3D printed kit, and I don't know if you can see it behind the local jack points, but I've got a weathered up pallet trolley. I think they're Langley models. Moving to here, we've got a gas cylinder container. Again, a scale model scenery kit. Next, another scale model scenery kit, which is a stylage mesh sided container, which I've populated with offcuts of pipe and given it a good old weathering. We've got a chap here at a pillar drill, and then we've got some buffers on the ground. Again, they're more shelving. Okay, moving into the middle area now, we've got the Bachmann Scenecraft local jacks. I've got this little forklift that I've weathered up, which is really cool. I airbrushed it, then I wiped it all off, and it left all the marks and dirt in the recesses and the panel lines, which is cool. This is a pallet with some batteries by the looks of it. They're from the TMD accessory pack from Bachmann. Again, not to move sign there. And this thing here, which is a fluid, or it could be water container or a chemical container. They're in the TMD pack from Bachmann. I've given that a weather up because they're far too clean as they are out the box. So I've just given it a weather and powder and sealed it in place with some varnish just to accentuate the ribbed construction of it. Down at the front, we've got another lift, more shelving, a coolant trolley from Bachmann, another waste bin. These are a milling machine from Langley, and then the last bench, which is from Skidmore Scenery, and down at the bottom I've put in a wee bucket and some details on the bottom shelf. Looking at the back part of the shed where the 26 is sitting, obviously I've got some more local lifts, we've got coolant trolleys there, I've got some more workbenches along the back, and if you can see there, it's a set of Class 37 snow ploughs that have been weathered that I've taken off a local when it's been in getting some attention. I've got some more workbenches and shelving to put along here, but the majority of the detail is in the middle or at the back near the back scene, because that's what you're going to see when you look into the actual shed and look down through the roof windows. I'll now put the shed back in position and wire the lighting into the main control panel and show you the finished article. Right, here we've got the large shed then. As I showed you in the previous clips, I detailed the interiors. You'll notice now that actually there's a bit of a gap in the back scene just behind the shed there. I've taken out one of the boards so I can get a little bit of maintenance done to the tracks below, just general cleaning really. So that's why that little bit's missing just now. I'll switch the lights on into the actual shed, and you'll not be able to see too much of a difference because obviously it's daylight as well. I went for the usual system of my lighting with two nickel wires with bridged LEDs and resistors in a parallel format, and the beauty about that is I've got, I think it's 6 LEDs in the system, and there's only 2 wires at the end going through the baseboard into this control panel which I'm standing at now. So if I switch the lights off in the loft, you'll get a good idea of how the lighting effect has been achieved. So there you go, the large local shed from Railway Laser Lines has finally been completed with interior detail and interior lighting. I really am chuffed with what I've achieved here. The kit itself is amazing, the detail that I've put inside is pretty comprehensive. I have to say I've got pretty much everything I need inside a shed, and a lot of those kits are thanks to Justin at Scale Model Scenery, so you might want to check out the website which is in the description below. The level lighting is just right for me. I've painted the LEDs, which are surface mounted LEDs, with the clear yellow from Tamiya, which I've used in the other builds on the depot, to give that yellowish tinge to it and not the kind of warm white that you get from the LEDs straight from the packet. It's probably brightening it a little bit more on the camera than it is in real life, but even so, the side windows there don't light up the entire depot. You know, the area surrounding the tracks aren't fully lit and almost like floodlit. It's just enough. There's enough light coming out the front of the depot to make it realistic, and enough light coming out the roof windows as well. So I really am chuffed there, and it sets it apart. And if I switch the actual floodlights in the depot on, it just makes it, I think, quite an atmospheric scene. Obviously it's not busy just now, the depot is fairly quiet, it's the summer, I've removed a lot of the rolling stock, but even so I really am happy with what I've managed to achieve. The depot's not entirely finished, I'm still working on tiny little details and some Model U figures. Again, the link to the Model U figures that I use is in the description below, but we're getting there. I've also got the low relief factory just to put the roof on now and add some external detail as well as some internal detail, which I'll be working on throughout the summer months. For goodness sake, John, I thought I asked you to get this Class 47 back in traffic. Aye, well, you see, there's a bit of a problem there, Gaffer. The engine's knackered. And anyway, my union's told me not to talk shop when I'm on my tea break, and I've got a cup of tea in my hand, so you'll just hate to wait. So, John, what did the boss man say? Eric, he was on at me about that 47, and I tell him I was on my tea break, so get a rest. Right, you two. Stop gossiping. Back to work. John, your jacket's on a sugly peg, son. You need to pull your socks up. Oh God, we better get back to work, John. This Class 47, number 47708 Waverley, was a Bachmann limited edition for Model Rail Scotland back in 2018. It's performed fairly well on the layout on the occasions I've had it out. However, recently it started really playing up. You'll see in the following clips just how poorly it was running on the rolling road. Stuttering, acceleration, vibration, it just wasn't in a happy place. So I eliminated every other possibility, including the gears, gearbox, lubricated everything I had to, but I narrowed it down to the motor, which is sitting on the tracks here in front of you. I ordered a new one from Bachmann. It arrived within 2 or 3 days. It cost £22 plus £2 postage, and I took the old one out, installed the new one, problem solved. The thing's running like new again. Now, I'm not the only one to have motor issues with this particular release. I know that Jan across at AY76 had a similar issue about a year ago, and he had to replace a motor. So I don't know if it was maybe a faulty or a poor quality batch of motors that they put in this particular Bachmann release. But if you've had any issues with the Model Rail Scotland Limited Edition 47 Waverley, then let me know, and maybe we can actually start to piece together the facts that maybe it was a bad batch of motors, or maybe just I was unlucky and so was Jan. So have a look at the following clips, see what you think. As I said, I got to the bottom of it by replacing the motor, and all's well again. One of the most frequent questions I get asked is, how do you wire up your signals? And how do you get them all automated? Well, it's very simple. I use signals from CR Signals, and in this case I've dummied up a board with the signal attached, okay? This is just a ground 2-aspect signal. It could be any signal, 2-aspect, 3-aspect, 4-aspect, okay? And this green board here is the Heathcote Electronics boards that I use for controlling my signals. Okay, let's look at the board. Here we've got one of the Heathcote electronic boards, okay, and this one is particularly set up for a 2-aspect signal, as is the case with the signal I've fitted. You get different setups, it's just the different chip programming for 2, 3 or 4-aspect signals. Okay, on my lower lines I've got 3-aspect signals on the loop, so I've got 3 signals in 3 of these units. On the upper main lines I've gone for 4-aspect signals, so I've got 4 of these units around the loop, and they're all linked together. And that brings me on to these terminal blocks here. That's your 0, and that's your 12 volt DC. This line here and this line there in the green are linking to the previous and the next board. So for example, if I had a 3-aspect signal, I'd have 3 of these boards, as I said. This would go to the previous one, that would go to the next one. So they're all kind of linked and they all can talk to each other. So when the sensor is activated on this one, it sends the signal to the previous one to change that aspect of the signal, okay? These 2 black things here are your infrared signals. They go together underneath the track into, I put them between the sleepers, so they're just showing through between the sleepers, and when the train goes across it activates the sensor. This little LED here will flash or go on until the train's gone past, and then that'll obviously start the sequence of changing the aspect of the signal and sending the signals to the previous Heathcote board. Okay, so it really is very simple. In addition to what I've just said regarding the boards and linking them from signal to signal, if you've only got one signal on your layout and you just want it to operate automatically, then what you would do is you would buy a mass sequencer from Heathcote. Okay, and what that is, it looks very similar to this. It's got a little kind of adjustable potentiometer there. What that does is you have the sensors under the track as normal, and when the train goes across it, it will set the signal from green to red. And let's just say it's a 3 aspect. After a set number of seconds, it would then go automatically to yellow, and then after a few seconds it would go automatically back to green. So let's just say you've got a small loop layout and you're just wanting the one signal on it and you want it to go through the sequence automatically. You would find yourself a mass sequencer from Heathcote, okay? And that way you could adjust the timings between when it changes aspect from green to yellow to red, but it allows you that extra level of automation, if you like. You can also add a mass sequencer, as I have done, to the end of the sequence of signals. So in the case of my upper main line, I've got 4 Heathcote boards. The last one in the chain is a mass sequencer, so it will always allow one of the signals to go back to green and then set the other ones automatically. Okay, so mass sequencer if you want that extra level of automation, so it changes itself after a set number of seconds. If you check out the Heathcote Electronics website, I'll put the link in the description below. Clive at Heathcote is very good at explaining things to people who don't know the workings of his boards. He certainly answered a few questions when I was initially installing them way back in 2013 now, but I have to say I fully recommend this stuff because it's durable, and touch wood, I've not had any issues with it so far. I get asked a lot of questions about inclines. I've got 2 here at Dean Park, and this allows me to get from the upper main line and depot to the lower main lines and station. A train can go anywhere on my layout using the inclines, looping through the storage yard without me having to pick it up. Okay, that's why I installed the 2 inclines, one at each end of the layout. Now, I use the Woodland Scenics foam risers inclines, and you get 3 sets. You get a 2, 3 and a 4%. I've gone for a 3%, which is the middle gradient. I wouldn't go for the steepest one, and this particular one I've got takes you from 0 to 4 inches in 8 feet. Okay, I can get an 8 or 9 coach loco haul up here, no problem. I can get an HST up here. However, steam engines don't like the gradient. Alright, it's because they're big driving wheels, they don't get as much traction. And in fact, in the real world, you used to get banking engines at the back of steam trains to help them up steep slopes. So it's the same philosophy down in 00 gauge. What you can get to help you, the DCC Concepts do a power base, and underneath this track you might see the shiny silver plates. They're highly magnetic. And what I've done is I've fitted magnets, or what I can do is fit magnets to the bottom of my steam trains or any loco that's struggling up the incline, again from DCC Concepts, and it draws the train into the track a little bit more to give it more traction. That's the way you'll get around struggling engines getting up the incline. A little bit of advice: avoid sharp curves on a gradient. Okay, curves on gradients are trains' enemies. Alright, they don't like them. If you can, keep it straight. If you can't, like me, use as gentle a curve as you can. Alright, that enables the train to maintain traction. I'm not saying some trains are nearly out of puff time they get to the top of this, but they don't stop or struggle because I've kept the curve gentle. And I can alleviate any issues by that using the DCC power base, plates and magnets to get a train round there, no problem. I say inclines are a great feature to have on a layout, whether as part of the scene like I've got, or off scene like many people use through even helixes. But you've got to keep curves gentle and the incline is as gentle and smooth as you can. I hope this answered some of the questions regarding the art of inclines. I say I'm not an expert, but I've managed to work out how to get it to operate without any problems here at Dean Park. Right, the storage yard. As you've seen in the previous clips with my DCC control panel, this is all fully controllable from the command station. You'll see also the CCTV that I've managed to install here, so I get two angles of this particular part of the storage area. I've got two cameras at the other side, which we'll cover shortly. You can see all the storage lines here. I've got two main lines that come through the middle, these two here. Okay, these are used really as through lines, but usually one's got a local stored in it, but I always make sure one line is completely free so I can use it as actual part of the layout. Alright, if I move these, for example, coaches here, they can keep going all the way around to the storage sidings, which go all the way around to the left behind the back scene. Okay, they probably extend for another, I don't know, 3/4 of a metre off screen. Any further on, and I really can't get access to the track for pinning it down in the first place, or installing it, let alone getting my hands on the rolling stock if I need to. There are 4 long sidings at the far right there. They are buffer stopped, and that allows me to store, as you see there, quite a long rake of Mark 1s. I've got 8 in each siding there, so I can get a full-size train basically parked in there if I need to. Looking at the other end of the storage yard, you could probably see the CCTV camera installed up there on the truss work, and that allows me to see this end of the depot with detail. A lot shorter sidings here. I've got 4 at the top left there, and they are all for freight or coaching stock. Obviously they can be used for whatever I need. They can easily fit a 3-car DMU, so I could park all my DMUs there if I require. You'll see where the Class 50 is sitting on the board there. The siding curves round behind it, and at the moment it's got the Esso fuel tankers in it there. Not as much rolling stock and locos here as normal, because in the summer I tend to take a lot of my locos and box them up just to stop them sitting up here gathering dust, and the heat in the attic obviously can reach high temperatures, so I like to keep the locos away so they don't dry out, and it saves me re-lubricating them all the time. It's time for a couple of shout outs. The first one is to Miles and Ralph's Model Railway. I said I'd give them a little shout out in one of my videos, so why don't you go across and check out Miles and Ralph's Model Railway to see what they've got going on. My second shout out is to Nathan at Amery Junction. He's got some great layouts on the go, and I say layouts, he's got quite a few. He's a bit of a serial layout builder is Nathan. So nip across to Amery Junction and see what he's got going on. An item that I've had for a while now, sitting in the background in the layout, waiting to be used, is this little banged up motor here with, shall we say, replacement body parts. I got given this by Richard at Everard Junction when he came to visit Dean Park back in October. Richard's actually gone into some serious scrapyard work in his most recent videos, so if you want to check out Richard, I'll put the link to that video at the end of the screen. He's certainly enhancing his skills when it comes to making a motor look, shall we say, beat up and ready for the scrapyard. Well, that's it for this update. I hope you've enjoyed it and got something from it that you can possibly use on your own layouts at home. Obviously for me this is a bit of an autumn-winter hobby. I don't tend to come up here too much in the summer because of the heat, but I'm looking at installing an air conditioning unit which will just regulate the temperature and stop any heat issues regarding items on the layout, which so far I've been lucky to avoid. A few of my mates are installing or have garden layouts. That's really cool, but to be honest with you, I have problems enough keeping my garden tidy, let alone laying a railway down. So good luck to you guys if you're installing a garden railway, and I look forward to hearing some progress on those. If you have any questions regarding any you've seen in this video, please get in touch. I hope to be back as soon as I can, but as I said, the weather is far too nice to be stuck up aloft, so I'll get videoing when I can. Stay safe guys, cheers just now.